listening to the Battle Ready podcast. My name is Aaron McManus. I'm here with my dad, Erwin Raphael McManus. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good today. It was a kind of a slow roll into that introduction. It was like I eased into it.
You know, it's either smooth or tired.
Smooth or I think let's go smooth.
All right,
let's
we'll
go smooth.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that.
But I'm also tired. This whole 75-day hard or 75 hard thing it's miserable. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're looking great though.
Sure. I wore the same thing I wore last week. So if you look at this clip, get out of here.
So this is
Don't
not being
shame
filmed
me.
on the same day last week. This is a week later,
This
and
is
you're
a
still
week-
wearing the
it's
same
a week
clothes.
later. No, I just woke up today and I was like, oh, this feels comfy. Oh my goodness, my mic is just like, I want it to lift like just a little bit. There we go. Okay.
But
Yeah.
if you're not at your best today, it's because you have bruised ribs.
Yeah. Well, I think it might be. Yeah.
Nah, you've been trying to say they're broken.
I think one of them might be broken. Yeah.
And,
It's okay. It's fine.
and
I sneezed last night and I almost cried.
well,
No, I'm not joking. I was in bed and I woke up this morning and I like coughed and then I sneezed and I was like cringing. Anyways, we're fine. Everything's good. I did not break it from working out. I broke it from the other stuff. And okay, so you just tell us what we actually are. Tell them what we're doing. Are we a think tank?
we really are. I mean, we don't say it like that, but
Yeah, then say it the way we say it. Say it the exact way we say it. Say it that way.
it depends on the environment. A lot of times I tell people that really I help people move toward optimal performance. And that's really one of the more common phrases I use when I'm working one-on-one. I coach
This is good.
CEOs and
This is-
founders and entrepreneurs.
There we go.
And,
Can we get that annoying horn thing, that noise? Bow, bow, bow. Or like some kind of like hallelujah angel noise that we finally have reached the pinnacle of. Why can't you just give a straight answer?
Well, because I think there are so many layers. Let me just give an example, like with Mosaic.
No, in one line, what are we doing right now?
I destroy internal limitations.
I love that. My name is Erwin McManus, and I work for a man that destroys internal limitations.
Yeah, that's what we do, because most people think their limitations in life are external. And I'd say 99% of all your limitations are internal. And if you can actually deal with those internal limitations, it's amazing how your external environment changes. If I can change the way you think, it will change the way you live. And that's the huge focus of our company. Now, how we do it changes. Sometimes it's me working one-on-one, but that would have to be a pretty high-level CEO, entrepreneur, founder, artist. It'd have to be someone who's really playing the game for high stakes.
But it's like
And-
music. Can we use numbers or no numbers?
We
Like
could-
of like net, like a company values.
It would probably be companies that minimally are 100 million,
Okay, yeah,
or somewhere in that,
yeah,
in that
like 50
space.
to 100 million plus.
Yeah, some of them are at 40, 50 million. Yeah.
But they're gonna scale to 7,500.
But their decisions either give 500 people a job or loses 500 people jobs. And so their decisions are far bigger than the impact it makes on their life. And that's why working with these people is so important. It's that it's not just changing their life, it's changing the lives of everyone that their lives touch. And we have to realize that some people, for whatever reason, you're living a life that impacts a very small number of people. And so maybe it may be you and your family, and that's the sum total. But once you take on a different level of leadership, and then you realize, there are 50 people whose livelihoods are dependent on the choices I make, or 100 or 500 or 1,000 or even more. And so some of the people I work with, there are literally thousands of people whose livelihoods are dependent on the choices that one person makes. And that is pretty critical. So those are the people that I work with in the private sector. And I love doing that because I feel like I can do an immense amount of good in practical ways for people's
He
lives.
followed me this morning at like 4 a.m. By the way. He's flying to Paris. One of our new clients.
Oh my
He
goodness.
said, how great. I think him and his wife are flying over to Paris.
Well, tell them that you need to do the next coaching session in
I
Paris.
told him, I
with
was like, why you take me with you? Why are you taking your wife? Take me.
No.
Okay, so it's essentially you're destroying people's internal paradigms.
Yeah, we're
How did you
just
say it? You said it much better than I
you
did.
remember what I
did
said,
you say?
Austin?
I destroy internal limitations.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's to me a real
I'm
practical
gonna get
thing.
that tattooed on my chest,
Like when
my neck.
like someone called me, one of the people I coach them, and really it was supposed to be them, but within 3 hours it became them and their company.
Right.
And they said, I listened to your talks at Mosaic and they radically affect the way I think. And what I've discovered is that when I give a message at Mosaic, that the person who isn't taking high risks, the message for them may be just inspiring or encouraging. And there are some people who the message can be incrementally beneficial. Mm-hmm. But when you have a person who's high octane, high performance, high risk, high achiever, they're gleaning out of the talk content that other people are completely missing. Hmm. And they're the ones that realize, see, sometimes it frustrates me. We're giving people for free on Sunday content that other people will pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for. Hmm. And not realizing that this is available to you. If you'll just apply it to your life, it would be life-changing.
Right.
And yeah, and so there is that, and I've always seen that that my role in life is to destroy internal limitations, and then give people the steps to begin to be able to live their lives differently. And I've done that for myself. Like I find I'm ruthless internally. I'm the cruelest person inside of my own brain. Whenever I find bad thinking in my head, I go destroy it. I mean, I am the virus that destroys bad thinking inside of my own brain.
I'm writing all this down.
And I think sometimes people have created a safety valve where they do not allow those kind of viruses into their own brains because they want to remain in comfort and in safety, and they want life to be simple and secure. And that's why sometimes they feel violated by a talk that tells them their life should be more. And you know, I'm in a conversation with someone I really, really love. I mean, I don't just like this person, I deeply love this person. And you know, we're in a conversation, and I tell him, he asked me, he goes, hey, what do you see in my life? He goes, I look at you, you make a decision, and within 6 months it's scaled. And he goes, I've watched the last thing you've done, and it's just so obvious how fast you've scaled. And I told him, I said, you have the same mental capacity. It's not like he's not as smart or not as capable. I said, you just play life safe. Hmm. And I said, you're like one of the best people I know. You're kind, you're caring, you're compassionate, but you're not dangerous. And you need to learn how to have the proper combination of being dangerous and kind at the same time. And he'd send me a text back saying, never thought about the need to be dangerous. And I said, yeah, you can't take on the big challenges in life. You can't go fight Goliath if you're not dangerous. We don't talk about David being dangerous, but David was dangerous. He was able to kill a giant with a stone. I mean, how more dangerous can a human being be? And by the way, danger was his calling card, because he said, I killed a lion and I killed a bear when I was protecting the sheep. And guess what that tells you? Because the only way you can actually know who you are is when you go into competition against stronger competition. And David's competition wasn't even other shepherds. David's competition wasn't other men. He wasn't even other soldiers. David says, no, my competition was a bear, and I won. Bears are dangerous, I'm more dangerous. My competition was a lion, and lions are dangerous, but I'm more dangerous. And so now I'm here, and I have all of Israel's soldiers here, and they're supposed to be dangerous, but they're wearing dangerous armor and carrying dangerous weapons, but they're not dangerous. They're cowards. Hmm. But there's a giant over there, and he's dangerous, and he knows he's dangerous. And that's why he's taunting us and calling us out. What he doesn't know is that I've been playing with danger all my life. This is my forte. And I'm going to go and I'm going to kill me some giant. Right. And I'm going to do it easy because David's an artist. He's a musician. He plays the harp. Right. He has a tenderness to him. Yeah. But he's also dangerous. And I don't know how to get this message out strong enough. And he sent me a long text even this morning, saying, because I sent him a text. I felt badly that I was hard on him. And I said,
why'd you feel bad? You don't text me apologizing afterwards.
Not at all, because you're my son. I do not apologize for calling you to greatness. And if you want less, pick a different dad.
No way.
You know, but with my friend, I didn't know if I had the psychological permission to speak so strongly into his life. And so I told him, I sent him a text, said, hey, I want you to know you're a good man and you've built a great life for your family. And if that's the life you want, that's a beautiful thing. I said, I only said the things I said because you said you wanted more. If you want more, then the things I said are valid. If your life is the more you want, then what I said is invalid.
Right.
Like, it's not my place in life to decide how much you want in your life or what you want out of your life. That's between you and God. And but if you say to me, I'm at this level, I want to be at this level, to me, that's permission to tell you the truth about what needs to change to close that gap. And that's what I do. That's what our company does, and that's what you do. And so we've done it in multiple levels. And really, the art of communication was
we always knew we wanted to do it when we started the art of communication. We almost added it to the art of communication.
Well, we struggled whether we should start with the art of communication or the art of thinking. And
we did.
Yeah,
Yes.
because to me, you cannot elevate as a communicator if you don't elevate as a thinker.
Right.
That's the secret behind the curtain. That's where you find Oz pulling the strings, because you can learn skills as a communicator, but if you don't elevate your thinking, you will never exponentially elevate as a communicator.
Right.
And so in the art of communication, which is why it's dense, is why it's difficult, that's why it's not easy, and why it's hard for some people to make it all the way through at times, because they thought, oh, this is going to be simple. No, this is hard work. This is going to require you to think.
Right.
And so the art of communication is a journey to learn how to apply your thinking to the art of communication.
It isn't that hard.
No, it isn't really. It's pretty simple, but
No, you just have to dedicate the time. And I think that's the reality is that it's hard to dedicate 6 hours.
Yeah. Well, anything's hard for people who want life to be easy. That's a quote. See, that's
his quote. I don't need that heat. I'm chilling. You want your life to be easy? Go be easy. It's fine. You'll come and work for us later.
But and then so we have 2 masterminds that right now are only for men. Okay. And but they're also for high level, high achieving elite businessmen. And
are you going to open up? So essentially this was like the tribe of 12 you talked about opening up.
Right. So I ended up with 2 tribes of 12, basically.
2 tribes of 12. And are you thinking about opening up a third one? Would you open up a third one to people on this? Could we list a number and open up a third one to Battle Ready? Or do you think it doesn't make sense to just keep it word of mouth?
Well, it's been completely word of mouth. No one's even heard about it except by private invitation. Okay. So what I would say is that if you're interested in more high-level coaching or a mastermind like that, maybe email us. So is there a way they can email us at Battle Ready?
They can, but I don't want them to.
And but you have to apply and you have to qualify.
Yeah, you have to apply and qualify. Yep.
And the reason is because for some people, where they're at in their life, what you're getting for free on Sunday morning is what you need.
Right.
And so you're applying that and really elevating, actualizing those principles. You don't need to pay money for the next level of things. But what you do need to realize is that people who achieve greatness always have a coach, if not multiple coaches.
Right.
And so there's an interesting irony. People who usually do things poorly don't think they need a coach. People who do things well know they need a coach. I remember when Mariah was, even like 8-9 years ago, and she was really launching a lot of Mosaic's worship. And one of the frustrations she came to me and shared with me was that she has a vocal coach. Yeah. And she's been going to a vocal coach since she was young.
And her vocal coach, the one she was with at the time especially, did everyone.
Yeah.
Like did Paramore, did all these massive singers in LA and Nashville and New York.
That's because the best singers all had vocal coaches.
They all know they need a vocal coach to keep them in a good spot with
And then there are people who wanted to join Mosaic's, worship teams. And when Mariah said you need a vocal coach, they would be offended. Yeah. And they refused to go get coaching. And Mariah would come to me and say, what do I do when the people who have some raw talent, but they're just not good enough, but they think they're too good for coaching?
Right.
And she goes, I tell them I have a coach.
Yes.
And the unspoken statement is, I'm way better than you, and I have a coach, and you're not that good, and you don't think you need a coach.
Yeah.
My experience in life is the people who have a hard time being told that they're not great, they don't go get a coach. and it's one of those situations in my stage in life, it's kind of impossible to quote have a coach. So I have a lot of coaches. Yeah. I mean, let me tell you, the reason I hang around, other than the fact I love these guys, they're like my friends, but I'm around John Gordon, and I'm around Ed Milet, and I'm around Paulo Lima and Jamie Lima, and these people are in my life, and they're my friends, and they're the best in the world at what they do.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it sharpens my mind. I'm in a room with these people.
So really you do the tribe thing. Sorry, I'm cutting off a little bit.
Yeah, I'm in a tribe.
You talk about doing the tribe because you want to essentially open up your relationships and open up people who join this tribe to new relationships, to people who are like-minded, to people who are the best at what they do, the people who are obviously going and taking ground in their business world and in their personal life on a spiritual level, and who want to be around people who see the world in a similar way. Yeah, and see the world differently, but in this way that we need to take ground and build business and go forward.
Yeah, because it's not that they need me as much to coach them. They need the environment that I can curate that helps them elevate with other people.
Right.
It's really may need me too.
No, yeah, and they need you and they need each other. And I think that looking at your friend group as well, like it's really encouraged me to go, okay, I need to make sure that people that I am spending time with, predominant amount of time with, are pursuing the things that I find interesting or find great, that they don't just accept the status quo. I don't hang out with average. I never really have. Austin knows it. I'm very, very, very specific in that way. Yeah. Like, I might get a coffee with you, but I genuinely, unless you're going for it, I'm not going to spend that much time with you. I'd rather spend time with myself. I'd rather spend time with you. I tell you this a lot. I'm like, oh, the person has to be really interesting if I'm not going to hang out with you. You're the other person I hang out with all the time. Like if it's going to take a night away from like hanging out with the family, then it has to be interesting. It has to be worthwhile, right? But with that, you have created an incredible tribe of you have like a small one. It's two, maybe one hand of your close guy friends that and Jamie. Who's married to Paulo, but great people that you genuinely spend a lot of time with, or spend a lot of time talking with, and sharpening each other, and it's so important, right? To have people in your world, in your field, and in other fields that are actually going for it, but really just trying to break into the next level of their life. And you're really good at making sure it's not about money, that it's not just about success, that it's not just about these somewhat oftentimes limiting milestones, but actually making it about, about your character, about building a foundation, about thinking, being thoughtful, being kind. I used to beat that into me when I was younger. Be kind. I was always like, that feels so weak to me, and now realizing, I think, well, when you turn 34, you realize nothing at 24 is right. Everything you think is stupid. Or you realize you just don't know anything, and then it's okay to have opinions, to have thoughts. You need opinions. You need a worldview. As one of the two things you told me were like, just understand you don't know everything, and that's okay. And at 34, I realized, I was like, oh wow, I really didn't know anything, and now I know I don't know anything. So now everything's a blank slate, and I can learn more. And at 23, I think it was just absorbing a lot, and you absorb a lot, and you need to have opinions. The other thing you said was have a worldview, and I didn't even understand what that meant at the time. Like how do you see the world, and care about how you see the world, and be able to explain how you see the world to someone else. And in this instance, I think the tribe, the mastermind tribe that you've built, these two, I really think that's obviously one-on-one coaching is incredible, but it's very tailored and very specific, and it's almost like to the person's needs or to the company's needs, and especially in that moment of time. And one thing that we found with most of the new clients, they're in unique spaces in their life where they're either about to scale or about to blow up, or things are about to fall apart. and nothing bad, or it has fallen apart and now they need to rebuild.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of finding yourself in these like life, the crux of these moments, right? Where good, bad, ugly things have happened, and how to like re-engage back into a path. I without saying too much, I'm very excited because I feel like this is such a beautiful rebrand, and not that you're leaving behind anything, because it's like, I think the reason why this is so successful already 1 month in, to I guess 2 months in now, we're in March. Wow, this is crazy. This is our start of our 3rd month, is that you built 40 years of credibility.
Yeah.
Right? That this is only possible because, so here's my question. So you're you know, what you said to our friend about being dangerous, can you be dangerous with no history, with no backlog, with no foundation of greatness? Like, how would I be dangerous?
Yeah, what I'd say is don't go fight a giant until you fought a bear and a lion, and don't go fight a bear and a lion until you've been faithful and taking care of sheep. And so I think sometimes the moment we're ready to be dangerous, we just jump right to the front line and go a little early. You're gonna be dead in 5 minutes. You know. And so what I'd say is start with small risks. And frankly, it can be in a completely unrelated area.
Right.
I'm gonna just say this: like, I am fearless in talking to people about Jesus who don't believe in God. There's a direct relationship with that and being fearless in my business decisions, in taking huge risks to build a company, because it comes from the core of who I am. And what I do find is that oftentimes when a person is fearful in one area, that fear translates into all the other areas of their life.
Right.
And so I would say pick one area in your life that you know you haven't maybe been faithful to, or a place you could actually elevate your level of courage.
Okay, so someplace you're afraid.
Yeah.
You said unfaithful.
You had to be faithful too, because I think that there's a sense of calling in each person, going, you know, there are things I need to be doing in my life. And I think it's it's like 360. It's not just, oh, my calling is my job. I mean, because my calling is to be a great husband and to be a great father and, you know, to be a great leader at Mosaic. And so I feel like it's full circle around me.
Right.
And you know, and just like with discipline, you cannot be disciplined in one area and actually remain undisciplined in everything else. That lack of discipline translates to every area of your life.
Yeah, it really does bleed over.
Yeah. And so if you go, oh, I'm really disciplined at work, but I'm disciplined with my health, undisciplined with my health, or undisciplined with my marriage, it's not true. You're lying to yourself about your discipline. You're undisciplined across the board.
Yeah. It's really interesting because I know this is on such a small level, but like when I leave my house, knowing my house is in order, I have so much more confidence in the day. Right? Like, and then if I just do the work to not let my house get messy or be disorderly, you know, and in the rain, you know, I'm throwing a towel down and my house is wet and there's just stuff, there's footprints, and there's certain things you just can't do without. But like, I know that I've done the work to keep my house in order. When I leave through the day, I'm going, no, well, when I go back home, my house is in order. I know this is fine. My life is good. Yeah. When I go home, it's in a comfortable place. I've done the prep work. But even with everything else, I think it bleeds over, right? Whenever your home is a mess, and I say this I used to say this all the time with the Mosaic boys. If your car is a reflection of how you live the rest of your life. If I can't get in your car because you're busy throwing bottles in the back and cleaning things up, and like make sure if I was jumping in your back seat, it's perfect. No. If I was jumping in your trunk, it's perfect. And given Austin can't do that because he's got about 17 cameras and 1 million wires in there. But for the most part, it's like just this preparedness for life, going, I'm already ready for the day no matter what happens, right? Yeah. And I don't know, maybe that's just the aesthetic things, but I feel like those are the little things that going like, I'm not naturally an organized person. I'm an OCD person that ironically doesn't transfer over to being like not messy. Right? So those little like hurdles, I go, okay, I'm gonna button that up. I'm gonna make sure this is good. I'm gonna make sure this is good. But
let me give you an unexpected 360.
Wait. You avoid my question.
Oh, you didn't ask a question.
I did ask a question.
What is it?
How does one become dangerous?
Well, that was a while back.
Yeah. Crazy how it works with you, huh? You're like, it's like a rodeo.
I told you, step into your fears and make an incremental choice that moves you into that fear by an action.
Okay, so let's use this friend. How would this person step into their fear?
Well, what I told them was, don't quit your job.
Because that's people's first mistake, I feel.
Right. Yeah. Don't quit your job. Find something you love, like a hobby, and figure out how to translate that into
some form of work.
yeah, like a supplemental career,
Right.
until it can become a career. Or don't quit your job, but begin to get the skills you need to take what they're paying you to do right now and to do it for yourself.
Right.
Like, so oftentimes the career you could actually build as a company is the job other people are paying you for. You're just more comfortable taking a safe salary because they guarantee you the salary than to jump over and start your own company. And so it's the difference between being a plumber and owning a plumbing company. And I think it's great to work for someone else as an opportunity to learn incredible skills.
Right.
And if you're a complement on team, then being on that team is the right place to be in your life. But if that complement actually grows and becomes a competency that you can build a company around, then do that over time. Like, you don't have to do it today, but you could move toward it. So all I asked him is there something you're doing for that company that with a small risk, you could actually begin to freelance and do it on your own, as your own company? I have a friend named Debbie.
Did he say yes?
He said he had to think about it.
No danger.
No, I have a friend named Debbie who was a CFO for a company.
Okay.
And she decided she wanted to work for herself so she could have more freedom in her life.
Right.
So she's smart. What she did is she went to the company she worked for who needed her and said, I'm starting a finance consulting company, and I would like for you to be my first client. And all I need you to do is pay me what you're paying me to my company, and you won't have healthcare concerns anymore or insurance concerns.
Yeah.
And you'll be my first client. And they said yes. And she did the job great. And now they had less of a headache.
Right.
And from there, she was able to get other clients and actually build her company.
Right.
And that's one of the smartest ways to do it, is to go, is there any way that what I'm doing, can I be contracted and out to do it? Okay. And but there's so many different things. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to do this. I just think that everyone who's unhappy doing what they're doing or feels that the ceiling is too low,
okay,
they're the ones that actually need to begin to ask this question. Okay. And like some people, I say, have the great challenge of being incredibly skilled at something. So if you're an engineer or an architect or a dentist or a plumber, you have a very specific skill set that people will pay for. I mean, I didn't have the deficit of a real skill. And,
you weren't limited to being great at any one thing.
Yeah. And so I had to figure out how to create a world in which I would actually be able to pay for life.
Right.
And so there's some sense where not having a technical skill forced me to learn how to become a leader.
Right.
Forced me to learn how to become an entrepreneur. And I think that's one of the challenges, is that when you're really good at a very specific skill set, people will pay you for your hours, and they will not pay you for your talent. So today I go back to work at Stark, and which is a fitness place out here that our friend Mike Abramson is now the president of.
That's amazing. They're great. It's crazy because we actually found them before we reconnected with Mike.
I found them during COVID.
It's so crazy.
When Instagram was listening to me saying I'm so out of shape, and then pops up this ad, and I checked it out and I really liked it. And so I went over there and I saw this guy sitting in a sled, like a heavy metal sled, and this woman is pulling it. It has all these giant weights on it, and she's got these chains, and she's pulling the sled while he's sitting in the sled. And I kept thinking to myself, what is wrong with this picture? One, it should be the man. In my mind, I guess I'm a chauvinist, pulling the woman, and at least I believe in chivalry. And so I walked by when he's sitting in the chair getting pulled across the room, and I said, are you really the one being paid for this?
Was it Nick?
Yeah, and everybody started laughing. And I said, and I looked at Noel, who was training me. I said, this one metaphor explains the entire economy And she goes, what do you mean? I said, the person pulling is the person paying. And the person sitting is the person being paid. Because the knowledge worker will always have more value than the labor worker. And so he's the one that actually has the knowledge, the skill.
Right.
So he's sitting in the sled getting pulled, and she's the one paying for his knowledge. So she's actually paying a guy to make her work to get her where she needs to be, but she can't get there without him.
That's funny.
And this is true in life. If you are willing to get paid for your labor, someone will let you pull them. And if you're willing to learn from your labor and develop a skill, someone's going to pull you. And that's what I would say. Even if you're working within a company, never stay as dumb as you are today. Always get smarter. Always assume there's another skill you can learn, another technique you can learn, that you can expand your intelligence, you can expand your curiosity, your imagination, your invention, your innovation, so that you always have more to offer the company.
I love that. You said a couple different things that that have jumped out at me, but I think maybe one of them, maybe you can break down. Well, hold on. Well, one thing that I see in your life is that you constantly change it up. You have your routines, and you're very disciplined in your routines once you set a routine. Yeah. But then you almost always you just scramble everything up because your travel or your life or whatever it may be. Between you and Mom, me and Mariah, we're always gone. But how do you continually restructure your routine? Because to anyone else it'd be madness, but I get it. I'm like, I understand what you're doing. I understand what you do. And I just work my life around it. I know that some days it might, some years it might be, you're up super early, or you're out really late working out, or your middle of the day is working out, and you just kind of block off whatever time works for you and then make that the routine. How do you constantly change it up? Because I've seen you do a million different things. I've seen you doing training. I've seen you do it on your own. I've seen you get into walking or into whatever it may be. Like, how do you, why is that intentional, the constant, maybe need for newness?
Well, I'm sure there is a need for newness in me. But also you have to realize you've been watching me for, 34 years. Right. And so you've also watched me as I've aged and matured and changed along the way. What I do is I pay attention to my internal rhythms, and I realize, oh, wow, I'm more creative from this hour to this hour. And so if I actually focus my creative time around those hours, I'll be 10 times more productive than if I try to be creative in different hours. Yeah. Or even let's say with health, I'm trying to be in the gym a lot and everything like that. Whenever I wait till after 4, I don't have the energy to work out. But there was a time where working out at night
was the best.
That was the best for me. I was a beast at night. Okay, so I loved it.
So for someone who's looking to build a new routine, or maybe someone who's gone, I've done this for 10 years and that works for me. If you're saying live life more dangerous, what are you telling them to shake it up?
Well, one is if you're working for someone else, they decide how you manage your time.
Interesting.
Which is why it's always a little challenging. And so you have to go to a job from 8 to 5, and you're only going to be productive for 3.5 hours. Yeah. And then you're going to pretend to be productive for 5.5 hours so that you can get the full paycheck. And I think that's one of the great challenges is learning how to optimize your workflow even while you're working in a company and realizing I really do believe this. I think people give you 3 hours a day.
Yeah, I'll say 4 because I'm hopeful.
and then the rest of it. And let's just say everybody's.
No, it's true actually. Like one of my growing up, one of my dear friend, his family runs a pretty big skate company and surf company, right? Like 100 million value at the time is 15 years ago. And when he started taking over the creative side, he was like, I only asked him to work 4 hours a day. I'm like, how? Like, how do you even get anything done? He's like, because I literally after 4, I'm just watching them watch each other. He's like, I know they're not working. Their most productive moments are when they feel like they can leave and go surf, leave and go to the mountains and like and ski and snowboard, do their thing. Because I just go, hey, come in the mornings, let's meet, let's talk through things, and then just leave and go do your thing, and we'll start back up tomorrow. Because I know I can only get this amount out of them before what they're creating is actually bad.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? And like that's when I think you have to figure out is at what point does the value that you bring start to taper off?
Yeah.
And that's for your teams, right? Because we end up just suffocating people going, you need to be here till 5, but nothing's been good since 2.
Yeah.
So I think just go home and go get recharged.
High achievers, people who move toward optimal performance,
Okay.
they tend to know how to cycle 3-3-hour days in a day.
Okay.
They put in 3 hard hours and then they tap out mentally, psychologically. They may run to the gym. They come back and put another 3 hours back in because they've been replenished, renewed, and then they take some kind of tap out break, and then they give you the last 3 hours. And so I'm not necessarily recommending that for everyone, but I do know this. People who elevate at an incredibly high level, they tend to have enough energy for like 3 cycles. And I know some who actually have energy for 4 cycles in a day. And I was like that most of my life.
Yeah, ML's a psychopath.
Yeah.
He's a monster. He talks about his 5 days, like what is it, like his 4-hour days or whatever it is. He's insane. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, when you guys were growing up, I always worked 3 hours after you guys went to bed.
Okay.
And I would put in 3 hours from like midnight to 2 in the morning.
Right.
And
That's 2 hours, but it's fine.
or
I guess
3 in the
midnight,
morning.
1, 2. Sorry,
Yeah,
right.
you know, so I would normally go to bed around 4 in the morning. And that was almost all of Europe growing up.
Yeah.
And then I would put in 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours at noon. So I was definitely cycling 3 hours for probably 20 years.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that's the best thing for people's health. I'm just telling you that's what I did.
Right.
But I think the main thing is to go, I need to at least have 3, like, you know, kick, you know, and like kick butt kind of hours a day.
Okay.
You know?
Like 3 just hardcore optimal hours.
Yeah, where I'm giving the company everything I've got. And then if you have a hobby or a passion or something you want to do on the side, your adrenaline will pick up. You get home, you eat dinner, you hang out with family, then you go to work on your other project, and it's amazing.
Right.
You know, and that's how I'm able to write books and I'm able to lead Mosaic and I'm able to run a company and I'm able to work with other people is because I keep myself in those cycles and I give myself permission to tap out.
Tap out? What do you mean by tap out?
Go
Like
do
hit
something.
pause?
Go do something that absolutely refreshes me.
Right.
Replenishes me. You know, up to last year, it was basketball. You know, I would just go play basketball, and it just absolutely would reinvigorate me and get me going. And I mean, yesterday I was in the gym thinking to myself, wow, I realized now I can live in this gym. Like I actually love going to the gym now.
Yeah. You spend so much time in there, but you also make it your office.
I do. I work from there. I have my headphones on, and I realize I get to do 3 things, maybe 4, like Solomon. And I get to be alone, and I need alone time.
Right.
I get to work on my physical health by working out. I get to listen to audiobooks, and so I've become an audiobook fan. I finished like 5 books in the last 3.5 weeks.
It's crazy.
And then I get to answer calls and help my team keep moving forward whenever they're calling me. So I just basically tell myself, I know I'm working out, but I am available during these hours. And I'm able, and you know what's great?
What?
You know how you hate long meetings and long conversations?
Yeah. If you have to meet, you're a bad leader.
You know, and I meet fast because I want to get back to the next rep.
Just text me back.
and so I'm able to be really
Sorry, keep going.
fast.
Say it again.
No, because I want to get back to my workout.
Right.
And I'm able to listen, give an answer, move fast, man. It's amazing how focused and intentional I am.
Yeah.
And as I move forward. Yeah. So I think you have to find those kind of rhythms. And I have the great luxury of controlling my schedule.
Yeah, I try to control your schedule.
you do
doesn't
try.
really work. I asked for access to your calendar again, which I have been refused. Refused access. Yeah, they won't let me have it because he thinks he says I'm too rigid.
Yeah.
If I know what time he has free, I'll take over all the time.
Airplane mode is really my way of saying I love you, son.
Yeah. He's like, hey, by the way, I love you. I'm disappearing now. I'm like, okay. So I think these are good patterns. I mean, I love this idea of how to become dangerous in your own life, how to break free of your routines and structures, and how to create new ones, and how to not play life safe. I think that's an incredible thing. I mean, overall, this idea of destroying internal limitations, I think is fascinating. And one thing that you talked to me off camera, you said the economy of knowledge, right? And you talked about that, you touched on that now, but really it's this idea of like whatever you do, become knowledgeable of it.
Yeah.
And and then become knowledgeable of the thing that's right next to you and the thing that's in front of you. And you have to really seek knowledge in almost every role that you have to conquer that role and then to develop into the next one.
Yeah, to me, it's like, don't have good moments by accident. Pay attention to what creates those good moments and then learn from that and apply those principles so you can have a lot more good moments. By the way, these are all mind shifts.
These are all mind shifts.
Which is, ironically, the name of my next book.
Yes.
That's coming out September 19th.
Yes.
That I'm finishing up all the final edits right now. We'll go to print in a couple of days probably.
Yes.
And I deal with 12 mental structures that can either be limiting or unlimiting, and how if we make these mind shifts, our lives will literally elevate from the inside out.
It's amazing. I mean, I'm so excited. I've read the first 2 drafts of the book. I think did we get the draft? We got it into our email. It's amazing. I have so many books on the line, but obviously yours is first. But I want to just do a shout out to this tribe thing, because I kind of feel like we should just put an ad out there just to see if Battle Ready can fill it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So essentially, it's 3 times a year that you're meeting.
We meet 3 times a year for 2 days.
And then we might do a 4th one where everyone comes together with all the different tribes.
We'll do maybe 2 during the year where I'll invite people to come for like a group party kind of thing.
Okay, a group event. And essentially, I'm going to just give the price. Is that okay here? Or should we save the price?
No, save the price. You got to apply.
Okay. But it's in the tens of thousands.
Yes. If you're worried about the price, it's too expensive for you.
Yes. Because we want it to be, it's for people who are strictly scaling the business.
Yeah.
Okay.
And part of the reason is because, one of my friends who actually has like $1 billion said, hey,
cash.
why he's the one who goes, why the price? And,
you said why the price?
Yeah. And I said, because if there was no price, I would have 5,000 people who'd want to be in the group.
Right.
And how could I say no?
Right.
Well, it'd be the way of discerning between you and all the other people I really care about.
Well, obviously me,
And he said, good point. And I said, and you would not come into a group
with 5,000 people in it.
With 5,000 people in it, and you would not come to the group without a high filter.
Right.
So to have people like you in the group, I have to make sure the people in the group are like you.
Right.
And he goes, is there still room for me?
Yes.
And,
okay, so here's the thing. Here's the challenge. So I know we have some phenomenal business people in the Battle Ready community and network. So if you're one of these people and you're going like, hey, I want to join this. I've always wanted to be a part of something like this. You can shoot me an email at aaron@battlereadypodcast.com, and me and Austin will look at it, and I'll send you the link to apply and to basically all the information. It's upfront. It's a big fee. It's a part of a great community, and this is not a hard sell. This is just me lofting it out there, because I told you, I think we should just put it on Battle Ready. We always have let Battle Ready people know what we're doing, so I think we should.
Yeah, and 2 of the groups are already full. I'd have to start a 3rd group if there's enough response from Battle Ready.
Yeah, amazing. Or maybe not. Maybe it's not amazing. But I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. We good?
Yeah. I was going to tell you that one just interesting, like, I guess, analogy is when I was stretching today, or I wasn't stretching, I was being stretched.
Yeah.
And the trainer stretching me said, when your brain says that you can't go any further.
Yeah.
I go, yeah, like right here.
Yeah.
He said, all the studies show that your brain is lying to you.
Yeah, you can go like 60% more, right?
Yeah, that your brain is telling you you're in pain, you can't stretch any further to protect you. But she said, if you can change your mind, your body will follow and it will go further.
Wow.
And that's exactly the way it is with mental structures. That's why the mind shift is so important. That you think you've hit your limitation, you think you've hit your potential, you think you've hit your optimal performance, and the reality is that the pain has lied to you and told you that you have limitations that are simply not there.
I love it. And to go full circle, I was trying to get you to use the phrase mind shift architect.
Yeah, I really am a mind architect, or a mindset architect.
Yeah, we were talking about how to describe this, and 30, 40, 35 years ago, you came up with the term, you're a cultural architect.
Yeah.
that you're reshaping and rebuilding and redesigning culture.
Yeah.
And really now I felt when we were coming up with our description words and how to explain this to people and not even to sell it, because the reality is we're not selling it. It's been, people have been coming to us, which is a beautiful thing and a awesome gift. But you really are a mind architect. You are restructuring and destroying limitations inside of people's minds.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah,
It's going to be a beautiful 2023.
It's so much fun, and it's incredibly rewarding when you watch someone make a slight shift in their thinking and it has an exponential effect on their life.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay. With that said, we love you, Battle Ready. Thank you so much for checking out this episode. We're so grateful that you were with us. You can rate and review this podcast on Apple. You can go subscribe to it on YouTube, and you can review it on Spotify as well. And if you're new to this podcast, we are so grateful that you've joined us. We love you. And you can jump on the Patreon, which essentially is just people who want to support the podcast and maybe get a few extra episodes a year. We do some Q&As over there. We're trying to build it out a little bit more. Shout out to Austin, who's always in the corner taking care of us. Austin St. John. And I love you, Dad. Thanks for doing this with me.
Hey, I love you too, bud.
All right. Bye, guys.